Hey everybody, welcome back. Today I'll be showing you how I made this leaf of Lorien from Lord of the Rings using some beading techniques and hand embroidery. To begin, I'm putting some green felt into an embroidery hoop and I'm cutting out a pattern guide for the piece. I printed this leaf onto my silky water-soluble stabilizer, which I highly recommend. It is a fabric-like piece of stabilizer that you can print or draw on. You peel the back off like a sticker and you sew directly through it. This is super helpful when stitching on fabrics like felt that can be really difficult to transfer design on. If you're just using a pen, the fibers tend to get caught and the felt can tear a bit and it just doesn't look as polished. Next, I'm going to use a hand embroidery technique called couching to sew my outline chain onto my felt. Obviously, I can't sew through this metal, so to get it to stick, I'm going to sew around it, and that's going to anchor it to the felt. I got all the products for this piece at Joann Fabrics, and the brand for this particular chain was Hildy and Joe. And I'm just going to use some sewing thread I had around the house that will match the chain. So I'm going to put the chain on top of my stencil and I'm going to sew it into place by starting a stitch on one side of the object and then making another stitch across from it, which will hold it into place. I'm going to continue to do this around the entire piece, and when I run out of thread, I'm just going to run my needle under some stitches on the back of the piece and tie it off. Now, when I got to the edge, I noticed that I wasn't able to get as crisp of a corner as I wanted, so I used a pair of scissors to give the chain a little snip, and then I repositioned the chain to get a good corner and continued on. This is one of my favorite parts of the process. Honestly, I love the way couching looks just on its own and how easy it is, but I really wanted this leaf to sparkle, so I decided to use some green seed beads to fill the leaf in. I started out using a beading needle, but it's not necessary as long as you have a needle that is thin enough to get through the beads. Now, I also do recommend being careful when it comes to pouring out your beads so they don't run all over because they are fast and evasive. Now, I'm pulling my needle up through the bottom of the felt near the edge of my border, and I'm going to put a few beads onto the needle to figure out how many beads I need to fill that area. Once I have that, I'm making another stitch at the end to keep the beads in place. If the string of beads is pretty long, I'll also throw in a few couching stitches to keep the beads in the middle securely in place and to make sure they fit against my border the way I want them to. Say, for instance, too, if I have a little area that really only one bead's going to fit, I'll just go in later and fill that in on its own. Now, I'll continue to do this until my leaf is filled in, and then I will remove it from the hoop and carefully cut the piece out. And I love it. Oh, it looks great. So next I'll remove the excess stencil by running it under water and letting the piece dry flat. While it's drying, I'm going to use the same stencil from the beginning and I'm going to cut another piece of felt for the back and I'm going to sew around some of the beads and the edge to hide my stitching. And there you have it. That's it. I love it and I hope you do too. If you give it a try, let me know and have fun.